Look, I contend that even if this was your dream come true, that this was the trad wife Barbie movie that you've always wanted, you would probably find it boring. If the whole thing is like, hi Ken, hello Barbie. Have you prepared dinner as per my request? Yes, and the children are already asleep, Ken, from our, again, only in wedding interlocked marriage, sexual intercourse that we've had 2 times to produce 2 offspring. Good. I would like now a stiff drink as I sleep, and you may prepare for cleaning tomorrow. I'm curious about what this whole Barbie shit's about.
Oppenheimer. Which one do you think I prefer? I mean, which one do you want to watch first? You are pulling my leg.
Every so often, movie studios do this weird thing where 2 almost identical movies come out more or less at the same time. We're talking about Deep Impact and Armageddon, or Ants and a Bug's Life, or White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen. The list goes on and on. They're called twin films, and they're usually the result of 2 studios investing in similar scripts at a similar time and then racing to get theirs to the market first. But what is far less common is when 2 completely different movies are released not just within a few weeks of each other, but on the exact same day. I am of course talking about when The Dark Knight and Mamma Mia came out on the same day in 2008.
I already purchased my tickets for both as a double feature. I mean, hey, power to all of you. All of you who are doubling down, watching your Barbies and your Oppenheimers, or your Oppenheimers and your Barbies. I think I would open the day with the Barbie, to be honest with you, and then close in the evening with an Oppenheimer. But no, I am not going to be enjoying that this weekend. It's all sold out in my part of town.
Wait, what? Hang on, no, that's not what I mean. No, I'm talking about...
Hell yeah.
What started out life as a bit of a joke has grown into something else entirely.
Legend, Mr. Wayne.
There's t-shirts, there's memes, there's TikToks and trailer mashups, there's New York Times articles, there's a website where you can vote for the next president. Hell, even Tom Cruise.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, if we go down, if humanity is fucked, if we've just climate changed ourselves into a capitalist hellscape where society is eventually going to crumble before we can pull ourselves out of it, fair dues. But man, did we go down silly. I'll say that. We went down memeing, baby, you know, to our final days. If they're able to, like, you know, go through the dust and the cobwebs and whatever's left and see what was there, it's like, oh, that's fun. Yeah, no, it was kind of fun. It's hard to explain because it doesn't make any sense, you know. It doesn't make, like, it's not logical that you would want to do this, but we just ran with it and we had a time. And for a brief moment, we were happy.
Cruise posted about it, and then Margot Robbie did as well. It's got its own Wikipedia page, and people are even asking the stars about it on the red carpet.
I mean, I'll be going to see Barbie 100%. I can't wait to see it. I think it's just great for the industry and for audiences that we have 2 amazing films by amazing filmmakers coming out on the same day.
It's a perfect...
I'm a big Cillian Murphy fan. That's how you pronounce it, right? Is it the proper pronunciation? Cillian? I assume it's that over Cillian. But he always looks like he's haunting himself. He's got that perpetual look on his face as if he's somehow haunted and haunting at the same time. That would be what I would describe. It's like, what would you say? How would you describe Cillian Murphy?
double bill. I think actually start your day with Barbie, then go straight into Oppenheimer, and then Barbie Chaser.
On 21st
No, it's
of
Kill.
July,
It's Kill with the K. The proper pronunciation, Cillian Murphy. Yeah. Hi, Cillian Murphy.
tens of thousands of people worldwide are now planning what could be the weirdest double feature in cinema history. The first movie they watch is massively ambitious, a film written and directed by one of the most respected people in Hollywood, someone who has Oscar nominations not just for Best Director, but twice for...
I mean, I'll be honest, just having watched the trailers alone, I'm very excited to see it because I think it's going to be, like most Christopher Nolan films, a technical marvel. Just where, like, if someone gets like $200 million to make a movie, at least with Christopher Nolan, you know he's spending the money on explosions and entire cities to build and stuff like that so they can be blown up and then in reverse and then do it again and then drop out of a plane into a city that explodes in a submarine, because he's gonna make it all happen, because he's like, I don't believe in this CG at the end of the day. I find it is a little dry, truly. So I do like to see the real things in real life explode before my eyes. Yes. So cool. I mean, good for you. That's awesome. So it's gonna be a spectacle, but I don't think they're gonna tell the true story. I mean, I'm ready to be surprised, but I don't think it's going to be an issue where, yes, they create the nuclear bomb and they have to beat the Nazis to get there. Fair dues, but you didn't need to drop it. let alone twice. At that point, Japan was fucked. You had been firebombing Tokyo to the ground. The paper city was in ashes. Japan was completely ready for a big old surrender. But you did want to flex. The United States wanted to flex and show that, hey, by the way, we have the bomb and we'll use it. And that's what you did. You dropped the nukes. The world saw you both had the nuclear bomb and you're willing to use it in warfare. So there's no bluff here. You will use it. You will drop it on non-combatants, on civilians, and slaughter tens of thousands of them, and then hundreds of thousands later on through radiation poisoning and sickness in the most horrifying and horrible way a human being could possibly die. You're willing to go to those extremes. So you're now going to rise as the new superpower from this world war and dominate the globe from that moment onward. So that is a very important story to tell. It is certainly a change in human history, and now we do have the tools within our own disposal for just one or two people, if they wanted to, would actually be capable of destroying the entirety of the planet. We have that. We've gotten to that point of technology. So that's wild and scary, and it is something that just fundamentally at its core would make you look like Oppenheimer if you're realizing all of this for the first time, right? Historically, that would be a cool angle and story to tell. I don't think it's that. I think it's the same myth that I've been told since I was a kid. And that myth is that, hey, by the way, in order to end the war, and the only way it could have possibly be ended, because at the end of the day, I mean, Japan was following what they believed to be a god in the emperor, and that they were never going to surrender, not without his surrender. And so they required something of immense force to be able to be enacted upon the Japanese, so that at that point they were ready to finally submit to the will of the Allies. And that's what happened, and America did it, and they ended the war. And yes, it cost some lives, but they were lives lost in service of ending the worst war in human history. And that's what America did. They're the heroes, they're the good guys. That's what I believe most of my life, to be honest. I think I was in my 20s. I might have been in like a university course about history where we were discussing World War II, and that topic came up before a couple professors were like, oh, that's a very odd mischaracterization of why the bombs were used, actually. It makes a lot more sense from a geopolitical standpoint. If you were wanting to rise, especially as a new superpower, then you would have to demonstrate that you not only had the ferocity and the weaponry, the likes of which no other country could compete with, but that you were also willing to use it in warfare. You would need to be able to demonstrate that, because otherwise people would always think that this stands behind a bluff, if you will, you know, and then that bluff has to be overcome with action, direct action. So there we have it.
The best screenplay, a passion project led by...
Why did they use them? I highly recommend, if you want a little trip down history, to watch Sean video. Yeah, Sean has a very well-researched video on this topic. It directly uses quotes from generals, from a series of people. Oppenheimer himself is used within that investigation into, was it necessary for the United States to drop both nuclear bombs in order to end the war? Very, very good. Very, very, very good. Well researched. Long, yes, but if you like this and it fascinates you, fantastic.
Husband and wife found a production company with the backing of a major studio, an all-star cast in front of the camera, and a team of absolute cinematic perfectionists behind the scenes, all working together to deliver a visual feast of exquisite production design, cinematography, costumes, and special effects to tell a story about one of the most influential figures in history. And the second movie is massively ambitious.
Well, the second movie, I don't even know what it's fucking about. Is this like one of the most brilliant moves in Hollywood history, where they're getting canceled right now, by the way? Like, they're canceling Barbie. Apparently it's woke as fuck. And then I'm like, wait, it's woke? How's it woke? And then the next day it's like, look, Matt Gaetz is at a premiere. He's dressed like some fucking Ken doll or something. Like, wait, what? The alleged human trafficker Matt Gaetz is supporting Barbie? I thought Barbie was supposed to be woke as fuck. And now Ted Cruz has just released a statement saying like, we need to condemn the wokeification of cinema in the form of Barbie, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what it's about. I can tell you exactly what Oppenheimer's about. I don't know what Barbie's about. I have no idea.
Film written and directed by one of the most respected people in Hollywood, someone who has Oscar nominations not just for Best Director, but twice for Best Screenplay. A passion project led by a husband and wife founded production company.
It's about the making of the Duke. No, I know. That's going to be a fascinating story to tell, because obviously it is, in my opinion, an assessment, a very intriguing part of human history, and one that hasn't had a spotlight shone on it too much. So yeah, that part of it is going to be very cool. It's just like, it's going to get to that moment, I think, where Matt Damon is one of the generals, because Matt Damon plays the U.S. general, is going to be like, look, We understand that you have become death, destroyer of worlds, and that this is a really bad thing that we have here. But at the end of the day, you know, the Japanese Empire is just not going to stop. And they're so evil and so bad. And we need to be able to really end this war with one full swoop. What do we do? What can we do? It's like, yes, the moment it does call for it, does it not? Well, let us not see what we can see. You know, something like that. I'm guessing. I haven't seen it. No one has.
With the backing of a major studio, an all-star cast in front of the camera, and a team of absolute cinematic perfectionists behind the scenes, all working together to deliver a visual feast of exquisite production design, cinematography, costumes, and special effects to tell a story about one of the most influential figures in history. Maybe this video is going to be longer than I thought. While they couldn't be more different in style, tone, and aesthetic, I think Barbenheimer is the perfect event to challenge what we as audience consider to be quote-unquote serious movies, and to prove that cinematic talent does not have to express itself exclusively through heavy historical dramas or big blockbuster action flicks, which, let's be honest, tend to skew towards male audiences. So let's go beyond the memes and actually talk about Barbenheimer, because I am not joking when I say that I think it will be the biggest cinematic event of the year. That's right, in a year with a new Indiana Jones movie and
Yeah, like...
Now, I'm the dad of 2 young daughters. This is, going to be a big movie, particularly for a lot of young girls. There's a scene in Barbie where there is this map of the world, and it's drawn like with crayon. I mean, it's really a very simple cartoon. And so they have this blockish thing that is called Asia. And then they've drawn what are called the 9 dashes, this is Chinese communist propaganda, which the Chinese are asserting sovereignty over the entirety of the South China Sea. And they don't have any right to it under international law, but they're trying to take it away from their neighbors there, take away and
yeah, this isn't AI, this is real. This is real, this is not AI.
Claim China's in charge of the entire sea and no one else, whether Vietnam or Singapore or other nations in that area, they don't have any rights to
I bet y'all didn't know that about Barbie. Yeah, it's communist propaganda, apparently. That's why it's woke as fuck. Yeah, well, one of many reasons. Girl boss shit too, I'm not sure. I don't know. The sexualization of men, the objectification, the female gaze at the male crotch, perhaps.
Now, I'm the dad of 2 young daughters. This is, going to be a big movie, particularly...
Yes.
new Mission Impossible movie, a new Spider-Man movie, and Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. Instead, the most talked about movie premiere is not one, but 2 original screenplays helmed by
Badger Monkey, thank you for the
directors.
Prime.
I mean, sure, one of them is based on a very popular IP, but that's hardly a guarantee of success. Because while that IP might be one of the most recognizable in the world, Margot Robbie, who is a producer on the film, has noted that being recognizable isn't the same as
The Christians hate it. Oh, the Washington Examiner hates it. Don't take your daughter to Barbie, movie guide titled Server Report. The movie is set to be released. It's catering to nostalgic adults and pushing lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender character stories. What? Millions of families would have turned out to theaters and purchased tickets, but instead Mattel chose to cater to a small percentage of the population who has proven over and over to abandon the box office. When movies do really, really good and that they've got women in them and people who aren't white as leads and they crush, they destroy. I'm looking at you, Star Wars. Why is it that we don't talk about how, they went woke and they went broke, even though it's one of the highest grossing films of all time? And then all of a sudden it's like, well, the gays never go see their own movies. Why don't they go see their own movies? They see movies. They go to see movies. Sorry, did you expect them to single-handedly make or break movie theater box office? Like, no, again, it's going to be on you, cisheads. It's the majority of people, so you're the majority of the population. You're the ones who have to come or not come to movies. The gays can't really move that dial as much as you think they could, right? The movie on the site can receive anywhere between a -4 score, which is to say a movie contains intentional blasphemy, evil, gross, and immorality, and or worldview problems, and it's to be avoided. Holy shit. All right, well, I want to see this movie now. Now that I know that it's gay as fuck, obviously I want to go see Barbie.
being popular. She said, we have to acknowledge that there are a
The
lot
Quivering
of
thinks it's feminist propaganda.
They were really trying to hide from the fact that some people in the film were calling it feminist. Other people in the film were saying it isn't feminist. The funny story was, you know, a bunch of the female actresses in the movie said, oh yeah, it's definitely a feminist triumph. It's a feminist movie, blah, 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 blah. Then Mattel, the company that owns the Barbie license and needs this movie to make money, literally came out and said, hey, it's actually not a feminist movie. I thought that that was one of the biggest you know, W's, that just says or tells us that we know that they're watching and that they know if their movies get, you know, classified as woke or whatever, it's going to hurt their overall performance in the movie.
What are you talking about? Do you all know that you all, like, on the side exist not only to be this empire of bigotry and make trans kids' lives scary or stuff like that, but you also do this weird thing where you create the very outrage that you complain about. Like, that outrage would not exist were not the entire fucking right-wing pop culture ecosystem just standing on the sidelines being like, well, we know this movie is woke, so we have to attack it and make it go broke. Yes, right away. And then it's like, why does that not apply universally? Because apparently that new Spider-Man film is doing really well, really well, internationally. In fact, even in foreign markets that you say are just too racist to accept all of this queer indoctrination of the West, right? Turns out the movie that features, protect trans kids in the film and an actual trans flag in there, the woke as fuck Spider-Man film, it did really well. So what does that say? What happened there?
Fans of Barbie, and in fact aren't just indifferent to Barbie, they actively hate Barbie. We need to find a way to acknowledge that. And given my audience is 95% male, some of you watching right now may well feel that way. If that's you, I urge you to watch the rest of this video. Hell, I urge you to watch Barbie. Get outside your comfort zone a bit and try something a little different. I think you might be pleasantly surprised. But we'll come back to that. First, let's look at how we even got Barbenheimer in the first place. What on earth possessed the studios to put such completely different films
Again, what a
up
time to be
against each
alive.
other? Well, turns out it may
Hold on. I want to see. I haven't even seen the final trailer. Okay, let's take a second here to see what this whole thing is about. See this queer as fuck Barbie show.
Hey, Barbie. Can I come to your house tonight?
Sure. You guys ever think about dying? What do I have to do? You have to go to the real world. You can go back to your regular life, or you can know the truth about the universe. The choice is now yours. The first one, the high heel. You have to want to know, okay? Do it again.
No one rests until this doll is back in the box.
It looks campy. It looks fun. It just shows you how wild things have gotten. That, like, if you watch that, you'd immediately start thinking, well, yeah, how is this woke? Like, where's the wokeness? The right-wing Barbie meltdown shows how reactionary forces are losing the culture war. Get ready, folks. It's going to liberate Barbie time. The Barbie movie is scheduled to be released July 21st. As it stands, there's no evidence that the anti-trans attacks by right-wing influencers have resonated with audiences at all. Barbie, distributed by Warner Brothers, blah, blah, blah. Greta Gerwig, director of the film, recently explained the underlying thesis of her latest project. People say, well, what's the story of Barbie? And she says the story of Barbie is the fight that's been going on about Barbie. In keeping with recent anti-LGBTQ plus extremist campaigns, right-wing media personalities have now imposed their anti-trans agenda onto that fight. They certainly have the muscle memory for ideologically wrestling with toys. Great battles in the conservative culture war have been waged over Mr. Potato Head, Legos, Xbox, Muppets, and more. Turning Point, Charlie Kirk, and the Daily Wire's Ben Shapiro and Rachel Campos Duffy, the gambit of right-wing blogs, are outraged that the trans model Harry Neff, an actor, stars in the movie as Dr. Barbie. There are more than a dozen characters named Barbie in the movie, each one as Barbie greeting by the same name going viral. Oh, so there's a trans Barbie. That's why they're mad? Oh no, this movie is woke as fuck.
Okay, so apparently there's a new Barbie movie out, of which I guess people are really excited about. It's a big deal. There's a very interesting piece out.
Conservative people from high school are freaking out about it. Why? Is it like their love of capitalism and commodities have clashed with the fact that, like, not everyone is just like ghoulishly hating of the queers like they are? Is that it? Like, oh, but I love capitalist consumerism and products, but at the same time I hate the queers, so this is a tough time.
For Revolver.news that says The Pink Menace. And joining us now is Peachy Keenan to walk us through why parents should not send or go to this movie with their kids. Peachy, tell us about this film.
Hey, Charlie. Yeah, so the film doesn't come out yet. It comes out in a couple weeks. And but the marketing campaign has been going on for months. And so I was excited about it. I have friends, moms who are excited about it. My 7-year-old daughter saw the trailer for it when we went to see Spider-Man, so she's been excited for Barbie. And I had no idea what was going to be in store for us until a few days ago. I saw the cover of Time magazine with the cast, and lo and behold, one of Barbie's, she has 3 sidekicks in the movie, and one of her Barbie sidekicks is a man.
Okay, so why is that significant?
Oh, did you not know? That's where you're supposed to feign outrage. Yeah, Charlie. Okay, so you're supposed to be outraged now. Yeah, so you're supposed to be like, oh, okay, sorry. You should have, they should have given you some cue or set you up for that one. Damn. All right, well, next time.
Well, I think that having a transgender Barbie in a movie that really is a beloved kid's toy is certainly a new thing. I mean, I think there was a transgender Barbie doll they made of one of the actresses.
Oh, you were trying to be transphobic there. See, like I don't even get where the outrage is going on this one. I'm as confused as Charlie Kirk. I thought at first that this was just maybe that old-timey, like, well, obviously no woman should be left alone with a male unless that person happens to be their father or a chaperone approved by their father. That's how women do go in public, right? But no, actually, this was you trying to. Okay, yeah.
Our actors on Orange is the New Black. Look.
Both Ken and Barbie have no junk. To the right, they are both trans. Technically, yes, if you define someone only by their prostate or their womb or their penis, then yes, technically, both Ken and Barbie would be neither man nor woman by right-wing definition.
Vern Cox. But there was never really a transgender Barbie for kids. The other clues that this movie may not be what you think it is that it's PG-13 for suggestive language. And in the trailer, there's like a kind of a dirty sex joke that went over my 7-year-old's head, but my teenage son was like, what? I couldn't believe what he was hearing.
Aw, I didn't even know that this happened. So this is the, I believe, another Mattel news company reintroduced the Barbie in the likeness and the actress, educator, and LGBTQ plus activist Laverne Cox. This is the company's first transgender Barbie, and Cox was reportedly very involved in every step of the design process, according to People. I can't believe it. I love her outfit. What excites me most about being out in the world is trans young people can see her and maybe go to purchase her and play with her. You know, there's a Barbie made by Mattel for the first time in the likeness of a trans person. That's so beautiful. Oh, that's really cute.
And I mean, I was kind of prepared for like the, Barbie is the feminist girl boss, escaping her perfect dream life for like the real world, choosing, she has to choose like the red pill or the blue pill. It's a pink high heel to stay in Barbie dream world or the Birkenstock, the brown, comfortable Birkenstock.
Yeah, no, I got that, but I thought that was a parody of The Matrix. When I saw that scene, I wasn't like, oh, so this is about pushing some kind of woke agenda and then the gayification of the youth. I was like, oh, they're referencing that scene in The Matrix that has now become kind of, just an internet meme with how often people refer to taking the red pill, and in this case, but to progress the storyline, you only really have one choice.
Sandal to go to, feminist real world. And that's what she chooses. But I was really surprised to see that there was a man as a Barbie. And now, there's a lot of talk about, accusing them of being groomers. And look, I think it's being misinterpreted. Like I'm not afraid that a transgender woman, in other words, a biological man in a dress is going to molest my children, is a pedophile necessarily. It's really about psychological grooming, right? So if I take my 7-year-old daughter to this movie, and she finds out later, oh, one of those characters, one of the female Barbies was actually...
Like, I'll show you what I think is child abuse. This weird ass shit. Like, how is this just good old, American Christian Sundays, where it really looks like you're indoctrinating a bunch of children to be, like, deathly afraid of hellfire and stuff like that, to the point where they're crying and speaking in tongues? I don't know, that seems weird to me. Pretty fucked up.
Actually a boy. And I couldn't even tell mommy, and so that makes it...
Yeah, that's just megachurch fundamentalism, but that's just good old Christian times,
Like, okay, she passes, or he passes, or whatever. So that is sort of it psychologically grooming them.
That is so weird to just think, let alone say about this movie. They're like, well, there's a character who's apparently trans. We haven't seen it yet, but it's bad enough to even suggest that if there is a trans, person playing that character, that they are in fact not indoctrinating children somehow.
One more thing that I hate today. So, apparently, if you wish to be cast in a movie, all you have to do is write a letter to the director. Did you know that? I did not know that. I thought that you actually had to be talented and good at things, but apparently not. Apparently, the best way to get a job in a movie is to write a letter to the director and ask them to change the entire shooting schedule because of your minority status. This is apparently what happened with the new Barbie movie. So the new Barbie movie is going to be a woke bleep show. Just putting it out there right now. It'll make a lot of money. Their marketing campaign is absolutely stellar. They've really gone over the top with marketing. I've never seen a movie, I think, marketed as heavily as I've seen this Barbie movie marketed.
So clearly you've enjoyed the ads and stuff. You've been like, oh, that looks like fun. And then someone had to tell you, oh, no, but it's woke shit. And then you have to be like, ah, shitty. All right, so I got to hate it, I
marketed.
guess.
And the reason they're marketing it this way is so many strong, beautiful women in one man staring off into the sunset. A magazine. It's about the magic and politics of the movie. Quote, if you are wondering whether Barbie is a satire of a toy company's capitalist ambition, a searing indictment of the current fraught state of gender relations, a heartwarming, if occasionally cliched tribute to girl power, or a musical spectacle filled with earworms from Nicki Minaj and Dua Lipa, the answer is yes. All of the above, and then some. So just how political is this going to be? Well, I mean, political enough that you probably shouldn't take your kids to see it. What is the Barbie movie actually going to be rated? Let me see.
Just the movie. You could also just not go. That's another option available to you, you know?
See the rating. The rating on the Barbie movie is
yeah, PG-13 means, you know, don't take your kids unless you want to supervise them and explain to them like a good parent, being like, hey, by the way, this is not actually a good idea to do this in real life. What they're showing you on screen is make-believe, and that's probably, you know.
PG-13. Okay, so it's going to be filled with politics, and one of the people who is going to be starring is a person named Harry Neff, who is a man. So Neff, 30, published a letter that this is Time magazine writing. Obviously, I only use male pronouns to refer to people who are male.
Nerd. Man, fucking transphobic nerds are just the worst kinds. And then flexing as if somehow this makes you cool in the moment. Well, I'm obviously going to use the preferred pronouns preferred by me. My preferred pronouns to call she, he, because that's just the way I do things around here. You know about this.
She wrote to Gerwig and Robbie asking to play one of the Barbies in the film. She says that as a trans woman, she feels ambivalent about the word doll, a slang term in queer culture for trans women, particularly those who celebrate the high femme. The word can feel at once aspirational and oppressive. It's a tricky word that holds for me anyway, such a strict standard created by the patriarchy that deserves to be scrutinized, but also a promise of liberation and safety and belonging, she says. At the very least, there's a juicy performance as a doll somewhere in there. So Harry Neff actually published a letter asking to be allowed in the movie, and they acquiesced because trans rights are women's rights, because men are women. So
that's not what any of that said. So wait, that's just your fan fiction, and you're getting big mad about your fan fiction. It seems like a lot of right-wing problems are just made up things where they get really angry about them. But man, this Barbie cycle, everyone's talking about this. Even Jesse Waters, the new Tucker Carlson.
So every little girl since the 1950s has had a Barbie. And as the times changed,
every single one.
So did Barbie, at least a little bit. She still had a tiny...
Fuentes got banned from Rumble? No, I didn't know that. White nationalist Groyper leader Nick Fuentes had a video of his rally pulled down repeatedly by far-right streaming site Rumble for incitement to violence. Fuentes has reportedly been suspended from the platform for 2 weeks. After discussing with my people in touch in Rumble, I've learned that the initial Fuentes rally stream on Sunday was removed. My team and I were not aware of this as we were not notified by email of the removal, and my account was in good standing, showing no policy violations as of this evening. Moreover, Rumble never told us the policy that we violated. Tonight, we re-aired the Fuentes rally stream, not knowing that it had been manually removed by Rumble earlier this week without being told why it was removed. Rumble swiftly removed the Fuentes rally again without explanation. Later in the evening, it was communicated to us indirectly through intermediate parties that Rumble censored the stream over a remark I made in the stream about declaring a, quote, holy war, which they consider an incitement to violence. So we know where the bar is at then with Rumble. So
waist and feet designed for high heels, but she could be a doctor and an astronaut or even a teacher. She was innocent, at least compared to the more provocative, slutty brat dolls. So nostalgia...
Wait, sorry, that's provocative. What's provocative and slutty about this? I have a feeling there's something else you're a little bit more concerned with here, but we won't get into that.
Nostalgia and retro innocence kept moms buying the convertible car and the dream houses and making Barbie...
This is so weird. You got to frame the entire thing as some weird kind of white supremacist fucking ode to patriarchy. The good conservative traditional way, the Barbie way, if you will. And that's what we loved Barbie for generations, until now.
An over $1 billion a year business. No wonder both moms and their daughters were excited about the live action movie coming to theaters.
Well, I mean, based on that photo, I think we know why mums were excited. Yeah. see how this is the most woke thing that's ever
given
happened.
Barbie a complete feminist makeover. Now, while the main character is played by Margot Robbie, there's all kinds of Barbies in the movie.
Look, I contend that even if this was your dream come true, that this was the trad wife Barbie movie that you've always wanted, you would probably find it boring. If the whole thing is like, hi Ken, hello Barbie. Have you prepared dinner as per my request? Yes, and the children are already asleep, Ken, from our, again, only in wedding interlocked marriage, sexual intercourse that we've had 2 times to produce 2 offspring. Good. I would like now a stiff drink as I sleep, and you may prepare for cleaning tomorrow. Yes, sir, Ken, I will wake up tomorrow to prepare your food and clean for you, and then I will take care of the children as you go to work at your job. And then they do that 5 times, roll credits. I think you'd be kind of like, the movie just, I don't know, just didn't really grip me, you know?
And one of them is a man, a character called Dr. Barbie, played by trans actor Hari Neff. They couldn't.
So just everyone's just alongside this whole fucking bigotry train. Doesn't matter if it's on Fox News, if it's on the Daily Wire, like all across the board, the right are just like all straight up bigots. Like the level of bigotry they're showing in continuously dehumanizing trans people as if it's just like a casual kind of like, oh, by the way, just so you all know, we're now going to misgender this person and talk about them, blah, 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 as if they're trying to fake being a woman. Like that's just straight dehumanization of a marginalized group. Someone who has a minority status in this country. Like you're straight up just doing broadcasted hate crimes and thinking that is totally normal and cool, which again, if you did this kind of shit for other categories, everyone would be like, what the fuck? That's abhorrent. That's disgusting.
Get a woman to play a doctor? The movie takes on every woke issue out there, from body positivity
and then concerned trolling right afterwards,
to men being women, to joyless feminism. Barbie was supposed to be a fun movie, a little fantasy world where there was enough throwback energy to keep moms happy. And
enough shots of a certain actor who may or may not be wearing nothing but a Canadian tuxedo, know what I'm saying?
All this movie is visually appealing, pink and
I was like, yeah, I didn't watch that trailer and think that this doesn't scream fun. I understand why maybe not your cup of tea, but you can't say that the whole thing isn't like a visual splendor. Like that's kind of the motif they were going for.
Definitely beautiful. It turned out to be just another indoctrination vehicle. The whole movie, which is supported by the brand itself, is a virtue signal to adults that the values and traditions they grew up with are all wrong.
What? Okay. Well, yeah, this is all weird. You lost your minds, Fox. The pink menace, liberal Barbie, includes Xanax, gender confusion, Marxism, anxiety, 8 genitals. I mean, holy shit, sounds based as fuck. What's going on here? Grooming instructions, bricks, matches, needles, shoplifting kit, LGBTQ++++++++, pussy hat, and more. Wow. Barbie. Gone wild. Gone rogue.
See, Christopher Nolan was partnered with Warner Brothers for much of his career, but he parted ways with them before making Oppenheimer because of their pivot towards streaming around the time he was releasing Tenet. So Nolan shopped around and eventually partnered with Universal. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Nolan asked for the world and they gave it to him. A production budget of $100 million and an equal marketing budget. A theatrical window of at least 100 days and 20% of the film's first dollar gross. You can count on one hand the number of people who have enough influence in Hollywood to get such a lucrative contract from a studio. But one of those people is Margot Robbie, who besides Tom Cruise is arguably the most influential actor/producer working in Hollywood today. Robbie founded her own production company, Lucky Chap Entertainment, in 2014 alongside her now husband Tom Ackerley. And if this sounds familiar, it's because Nolan's production company, Syncopy Inc., was also co-founded between him and his wife, Emma Thomas, who has produced all of his films. But although Lucky Chap is producing the Barbie movie, that movie is also being financed and distributed by, you guessed it, Warner Brothers. And even though they seem to be making amends now, rumor has it that Warner Brothers deliberately scheduled Barbie to release at the same time as Oppenheimer as a bit of a screw you to Nolan for ditching the studio, hoping that it would draw crowds away and impact the film's profitability. But it kind of looks like this backfired, because no one predicted Barbenheimer. According to the New York Times, every time Barbie released a trailer, Oppenheimer would start trending. So ironically enough, the Warner Brothers' decision to screw over Christopher Nolan has actually ended up giving him a ridiculous amount of free word-of-mouth advertising, so joke's on them, I guess. But studio politics aside, I do want to look at the advertising of these two movies, especially Barbie, because, well, It's a lot. As you might expect from a movie based on the most famous toy ever, Barbie's marketing is very much leaning into its IP, with product deals galore, from yogurt to a full-size Barbie house tour with AD. By contrast, Nolan's approach to marketing Oppenheimer has been very restricted. See, he's reached a point in his career where he has creative control over how his films are marketed, and it's clear with Oppenheimer that he doesn't want to give too much away. The trailers and posters have only given us tiny hints at the tone and aesthetic of the film, while giving away very little about the specifics. To be honest, it's how I wish more movies were advertised. Get us interested, but don't cram all the best bits in the movie into the trailer. But the best trailer of the year, hell, the best trailer I have seen for a long time, was not for Oppenheimer. It was for Barbie. The teaser released in December last year was sheer brilliance, a direct parody of Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, one of the most famous movies of all time that was directed by one of cinema's most famous auteurs, a director who is adored by the mostly male-dominated world of online film criticism. The Venn diagram of people who like Stanley Kubrick films and target audience for a Barbie movie probably has a pretty narrow crossover. But what director Greta Gerwig did with this teaser was tell the world two things. One, it told us that this movie was going to be fun as hell, and two, that it will be completely different to what you expected from a Barbie movie. And this is 100% deliberate. Margot Robbie said in an interview that people immediately have an idea of, oh, Margot is playing Barbie? I know what that is. But our goal is to be like, whatever you're thinking, we're going to give you something totally different, the thing you didn't know you wanted. This is exactly what this teaser promised us. But it did more than that.
Margot is beautiful though. Don't you love the internet being like, oh, no matter how you think about it, Margot is mid. And you're like, what's happening right now? What's going on? Is just like, are we just gonna say nonsense for the funsies of it all?
By riffing on Stanley Kubrick, it brought in a whole audience of film geeks who otherwise would probably never have watched the trailer for.
It's like saying young Brad Pitt is mid, you know? Like, everyone knows you're wrong though. Like, you could just see Brad Pitt standing there in Fight Club shirtless and be like, but no, like, I'm sorry, but like, mathematically at this moment in time, you're just wrong. If you look at what's happening there, yeah, no, I'm sorry, the mid is not appropriate.
A Barbie movie. It sent a message to a group of people who are so out.
Margot Robbie's one of the hottest women in history. Yeah, it's one of those things where you can never tell if the discourse was started because someone was just straight up inselling out and trying to be like, oh, just, all women are actually mid, blah, 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 Margot Robbie included, or if it was that weird section of the internet that is obsessed with doing like investigations into whether or not people are trans, and then at one point or another, like, oh, well, you know, because of the weird shadow and inflection by this angle here, I can tell that this person is most likely not a biological female after all, and you're also just like, why are we here? What's going on here?
Side what you would expect to be the typical target market for Barbie.
It's like saying Denzel Washington is fit. Yeah, like no one says this. No one should even think this. It's like, I know you're lying because that I see with my eyes Denzel Washington before me at this moment in time, you know, and like it doesn't matter what role he's in, he's just cool. Even when he's the bad guy who scares me, I'm still like, but you're amazing. Can I see more? Right?
And said to them, hey, why don't you give this a shot?
He wrote another book called Guts. It's the most edgy thing we've read in book club. Guts, eh?
Nolan back into this, it kind of reminds me in a weird way of how The Dark Knight was marketed. The advertising of that film spent a lot of time focusing on Heath Ledger's Joker in an effort to convince fans that his casting was appropriate and that they should give the movie a chance. Because when Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker, the internet lost its mind because at that point in time, he was best known as the pretty boy from all those.
Not gonna lie, so I was a massive Batman fan and I'm so excited for this next Batman movie, and one of the people who was losing his shit over Heath Ledger being cast as the Joker, be like, are you fucking kidding me? The 10 Things I Hate About You guy? No way. It's done, it's ruined, movie already sucks, fuck.
Rom-com chick flicks and the one about the gay cowboys. In other words, he was largely dismissed as an actor because the movies he had chosen to act in were romances that were largely directed at a female audience, and therefore he wasn't taken seriously as an actor by the mostly male audience of Batman. Where have we seen that before? Christopher Nolan could see Heath Ledger's talent and
well, see, no, but by that point I'd learned the error of my ways. By you know, when that new Batman was coming out, I was like, oh yeah, no, the Twilight Kid's probably gonna do awesome in this, probably.
Ahead with casting him. But knowing Ledger's reputation, the marketing had to spend a lot of time saying to the world, trust us, we got this. And of course they did. I think that by parodying such a famous scene from such a famous director, Greta Gerwig is directly appealing to a similar demographic of people who might dismiss a Barbie movie because, well, it's a Barbie movie and it's all pink and girly. This trailer is saying that a movie can be artistic, well-crafted, and brilliantly executed while also being funny, satirical, and yes, pink and girly. In other words, the tagline for Barbie should be, "Why so serious?" This trailer told the world that Barbie is not going to be some phoned-in, script-to-screen movie designed to make a quick buck off some recognizable IP. No, this was going to be a movie that had some genuine craft and filmmaking talent behind it, while also being an IP cash grab. But you know what? That's what the Dark Knight trilogy was as well. Movies being built around marketable IP is about as old as movies themselves. It doesn't automatically make them bad movies. What makes them bad movies is when profit becomes the sole motivation, leading to cutting corners and a general lack of craft, talent, and passion behind the production because no one believes in it. Like The Dark Knight, Barbie is both a giant corporate IP-driven blockbuster capitalized.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Basically, I'm going to jump to this next story because I can't concentrate on Barbie for too much longer. But yeah, so that's the deal. They're losing their minds over Barbie. To all those who have tickets for both of them, good luck to you all. I'll most likely try and see Oppenheimer, and then I'll probably catch Barbie. I don't think in the same day, but they both look fun, you know, in their own ways. I get it.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
Thank you kindly to our Lord and Saviors Peyton L. Just and Xander Corvus. Without you, we are nothing. And now, a shout out to our Knights of the Square Table. Amazing Flesh, Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, DM Rivera, Doug Cady, Everything Important, Hegbard Celine, Izzy Solidarity, La Media Panza, Matthew Scarborough, Multimondi, Nettle, Omni, Peanut Butter Blonde, Political Papi, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Kubi, Cernicus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian Dimmel, Thomas, Trevbot EXE, Lucidry, Words Greenwood, Cheryl Alvarez, Tony Perkins, Thomas, O'Pecker, Travis McClinton, and Victoria Bell. Thank you so much. And a huge shout out to all the other people who make this entire show possible. Without you, it would not exist. If you can support us, please go to patreon.com/theserfs, and even $1 can help unlock all of the little goodies and help make this show entirely possible.